All right, as we delve more into probability, this time we're really going to focus on the odds. So if we think about probability first, the probability of, let's say, rolling a 2 on a number cube is 1 out of 6. And what we're going to do today is translate that stuff into odds. Odds are very similar to probability, but they present just a little bit different. So odds in favor of an event. So this is where it gets a little tricky. Favorable of getting that 2 is 1. Unfavorable is the other 5 numbers. So against it, unfavorable is 5, and then favorable is 1. So this is where we have to be careful, obviously, changing this whole thing out. But either way, keep in mind that these things need to be equal to, if we think about probability, they have to be equal to that denominator when we talk about it as odds. So what we're often going to do is set things up as a probability and then transition. If you can skip that step, great, that's super for you. I'm very proud of you for being able to do that, but it's not necessary. All right, what are the odds of landing on a number greater than or equal to 6? So 6, 7, 8. Okay, so my probability is 3 out of the 8. So again, I'm going to start with probability and say that means 3 are ways of being successful and 5 ways to be unsuccessful. Again, this grand total equals 8, so that I know that we're in good shape with that. All right, what are the odds against landing on a number less than 3? Okay, so probability, number less than 3. And so that means we're talking about 6 out of 8 or 3 out of 4. And so that means the very first one would be 6 to 2, which means we're going to make it down to 3 to 1. So we still want to reduce our odds just like we would for probability. So this step that we did here, this 6 over 8 that becomes 3 over 4, if you went straight to the odds and said 6 to 2, we would also reduce that to 3 to 1, just so we have those ideas going on. Probability of landing on an even. Okay, so probability of even. So we know that that's going to be half of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's 4 out of 8. Again, I'm always starting in probability world. We know that becomes 1/2. So that means in odds, we would be 4 to 4 or 1 to 1. Okay, so this is kind of the first glimpse as we talk about odds of something that's 50% chance. This is what it looks like. Okay, so we notice that what we'd kind of like to see is a higher number on the left than on the right. That gives us a better probability. Remember this 3/4 was 75%. So that gets you kind of thinking about those just a little bit. All right, if the probability of an event, okay, so this is the next way. So instead of trying to come up with the probability and then transition, you might be just given the probability of the event is 7 out of 13. So that means 7, and this total has to be 13. Remember, that's the thought process in dealing with odds. So 7 plus 6 would give me 13. So it's 7 to 6 are the odds. All right, the odds of an event occurring are 3 to 1. What's the probability? Okay, so 3 to 1. So that means 3 is successful plus 1 way of being unsuccessful. So that makes 4. So that gives me the probability. Right, so they're hopefully not too bad. It's just going to be a little bit vocab driven as we take a look at the next one. The odds against an event occurring are 5/7. What's the probability that the event does occur? All right, so we have a couple ways to work around that. So that means we're talking about against. So probability of not happening is 5/12. So that means the probability of the event actually happening is 7/12. So we can get the odds as 7 to 5. Oh, we wanted the probability. We had it right there. Okay, so it's going to be the other half of this 12ths as we look at it. Okay, and actually added in the odds as well. So we had the first transition to change those out. So sorry, I skipped over the answer there. All right, and so here we're going to talk about probability and then odds against the blue, all sorts of things. So we might just flip-flop those. So first thing we need is that these are out of 10, right? Yeah, they're out of 10. So probability of a blue is how many blues? 2 blues. Don't be blue. So that's 1/5. Okay, so this is probability of actually getting a blue. So this is the positive one. This is written in the negative. That means if this were going to be an odds of 1 to 4, this would be 4 to 1 because now this changed into the negative against it. Okay, so that's where you want to be careful as you get any of these questions in the future. Probability of a red, there are 5 reds, so that's 5 out of 10. So we know that that's 5 out of 5 or 1 to 1. So the odds of red are still 1 to 1. I forgot as I was thinking here that this one was not a flip-flop, so we were in good shape the whole time. All right, so that's how our odds work. The main deal is, remember, your odds have to equal the denominator of your probability. That makes that go a little bit smoother.